Yeah, so junk is about a very real problem, kind of like he's talking about. There's a lot of space debris out there, and we kind of tackled that in our game here. We tried to make it as realistic as we could in the time frame that we have, based on a little bit of data that we could find. It's probably more of a simulation than a game. We tried to recreate like a lot of the physics and whatnot, debris floating around the planet. Obviously, none of that could really be simulated in real size because the planet's obviously way too huge for a game, but we did that as accurately as we could. Yeah, so my name's Sean. I'm a programmer. Alexia is also a programmer. And we have Spencer, who is our artist, and also Mike Carney, who's on here, who's our designer. Yes. Yeah, so the goal of the game, once we start getting into it, is basically there are a lot of satellites orbiting around the planet, and you have to destroy the debris with several different devices. You can either move the debris further away from the planet or closer to the planet, depending on where the debris is in relation to your satellite. And then you also get more resources depending on how many satellites you have in the sky, so you can buy more satellites. And then also, once you accumulate enough resources, you can actually enter a new policy, which is basically a win mode, where the planet then intelligently doesn't put debris into space anymore. Okay, so here it is finally. Yeah, JUNK stands for Joint Unkempt Nimgus Cleanup, in case you're wondering. And yeah, big shout out to everyone from the Indie Galactic team, all of our sponsors. Double D from SpaceX has actually helped us come up with the idea. We had no idea there was space debris in the first place. So. Yeah, your job is to use evasive maneuvers to avoid collisions from the debris from your satellites. That's what that was reading there. And it said there's over 100 million pieces of debris in the atmosphere, or excuse me, in outer space. And the scene is loading. It wasn't this slow earlier, I promise. I don't. Okay, so once you enter in, you can right-click to rotate the planet and look around the planet. As you can see here, we have all the different physics I was talking about earlier going on with the debris floating around the planet. The green objects, you can't see them very well from here, but those represent the satellites that are orbiting around the planet. The red objects represent the larger debris that you're trying to avoid, as well as the larger white objects. And there's multiple view modes. Once you click on that button, you can enter a top-down perspective. From the top-down perspective here, you can see the grid, which shows you where the planets are, or where the satellites and where the debris is rotating, so you can kind of get an idea of which debris you should relocate or which satellites you should move based on that grid. That way you can avoid obstacles. And then if you switch back over to the perspective view, it says you must protect the satellites. We kind of like try to make a tutorial because it's a first game, so everyone, when they're first playing, knows what to do. And then anytime you can click a debris when you're in the perspective or the top-down view. Well, you can click a debris, and it brings you to a second scene where you have multiple choices, where you can choose how you want to handle the debris. But it looks like it's not working right now, and we've been up here long enough, so I think we'll go ahead and take it down. Did you guys have any questions for any of us?
Yes. Yeah, did you use the real database for the debris, or?
When you say database, you mean like where did we find the debris from? You, Spencer, you came up with the different art assets. Do you know how, was Mike the one who was bringing those in to you to tell you which ones to use?
We just went through a database, so currently
Debris. I actually wasn't the lead designer. Lead designer left, but he's the one who did a lot of that information. Looked through a lot of that information.
Okay, but it's real source data.
Any other questions? Yeah, I don't know the source of the data, unfortunately. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys. So again, addressing a pretty real issue. Next one.